welcome to After Cafe, where ideas take shape, thoughts find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. Special indeed. Making marketing make sense. One of his advocacy, none other than Mr. Michael DiMaria.
How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Welcome, Mr. Michael on Abstract Essay. I'm fabulous. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yeah, I'm the founder of Madman Marketing. I have a wife and two kids, and the goal in life is to be able to balance the two and do both very well.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Michael. Thank you. And today let's talk about marketing while parenting, building a business that works for real life. So tell us, let's start with the phrase marketing while parenting. Suggest that these two roles are in constant dialogue, not as separate battles. What is the core mindset shift required to stop seeing them as a conflicting and start seeing them as integrated?
Well, I think the biggest thing is shifting your mindset. Obviously, there's always gonna be conflicts, but you're realizing that everything that you're doing for them. And so if those two things start to conflict and hurt one another, then you got to make an adjustment and change things up.
Interesting. And redefining success. How do you becoming a parent force an entrepreneur to redefine what a business success actually means? Is it less about scaling or more about sustainability?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. It's obviously sustainability, being able to do both, but I think you're really successful when you can find that balance to kind of continue to scale both aspects of your life, continue to grow your family, have healthy children, healthy relationships, while also being able to succeed in your business and enjoy it. I think the biggest thing that a lot of people conflict with is being able to enjoy what they love most while still helping out with the other areas of their lives, or still building other areas of their lives.
Mr. Michael, you mentioned building a business for real life called parenting. With all its chaos and constraints, actually become an expected advantage in creating a more authentic, relatable brand.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things that I've found in my business is that people seem to relate to you more, and I feel like people end up trusting you more, knowing that you are also raising a family. There's a lot of in life, there's a lot of like hustle culture out there, and there's a lot of like kind of young single guys that are just building business and trying to make as much money as possible and any way they can. And there's nothing wrong with that in some senses, but I think knowing that your business is not it's a priority, but it's not your number one top priority, kind of makes you just more relatable to the people that you're trying to partner with or sell to.
Are relatable indeed. And beyond the theory, what does a truly effective parent friendly time blocking system look like? How do you plan for the inevitable sick days or school closures?
Yeah, so I work primarily out of my house. So I get to see, I honestly, I probably see my family more than most people do, which is really nice because anytime I have a chance to take a break, I'm usually leaving my office and I'm seeing the kids or my wife for 5 or 10 minutes and then going back down to work. And I usually do that several times throughout the day just to try to break things up, see how everybody's doing. I know my kids definitely, even when I'm home, miss when I go downstairs to my office. So it's a good way to break up the day and kind of get the meticulousness of some of the tasks that you have to do throughout the day. It kind of takes that away.
Yes. Break down the day for sure with the family. Yeah. And the 80-20 parent entrepreneur, in your experience, what are the 20% of marketing activities that yield 80% of the results for time starved parent? What common activities should very ruthlessly eliminate?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. I I think the stuff that you kind of have to eliminate throughout the day is the busy work. The stuff that takes your time away from building your business, because when you're constantly doing tasks that aren't moving you forward, you're always working. And I think as a business owner, you're always working in general. And so trying to find ways to to automate certain things, to take to give you a little bit extra time back, will give you that extra time with your family throughout the day. Now there's going to be some days where that's just not possible, and you kind of have to put your head down and keep working. But finding one ways to automate tasks, I think one of the first things once I was able to get extra revenue into the business is I hired things out. So I was making less money overall, but it gave me the ability, one, to take a few more breaks and take some time on the weekends while also being able to scale my business in more meaningful ways.
That'd be awesome. Mr. Michael, that'd be awesome indeed. Marketing requires creativity and energy resources often depleted by parenting. What are your non negotiable practices for managing your energy, not just for your time?
I think I don't have a lot of extracurricular activities. I do play video games every once in a while. I think that's a good way to kind of just unplug from work life, and just kind of reset. I do try every single day. We have we're at least all together when we're eating dinner for the most part and hanging out. That's a good way to kind of reset and recharge. But for the most part, unless there's something, some days there's a lot of stress that happens. There's things that are going wrong, and it kind of can potentially ruin your mood. But I think when you're doing something that you love, you kind of lose the burnout factor, and so it gives you more energy to do other things within your business, or whether that's with your family, and you don't feel tired all the time.
Mr. Michael, what are the most productive ways to use those unpredictable 10 to 15 minutes pockets of time for business momentum?
um Yeah, I think the biggest thing is when you are unplugged, staying unplugged. If you are trying to take the 10 to 15 minutes of time and you are still, sending emails, messaging people, still trying to work on stuff, you're never truly unplugged. And then when you finally get back to your computer or into another meeting or something, you never really quite had that break, even though you were trying to take that. So when you take the 10 to 15 minutes, unplug, nothing's going to burn down or be, fall apart within those few minutes.
So tell us, Mr. Michael, Scale Like a Madman, what is all about on your website?
Yeah, I think our primary purpose is to allow businesses to build sustainably. And one of the biggest things that we try to promote is just unconventional ways to scale, because a lot of agencies, a lot of businesses out there, they think, let's just go straight to advertising. Let's, let's do a bunch of social media content, things like that. We're primarily focused on building brand authority in the space so that these other things are a lot more effective. And so when we're able to get people's name out there, get them recognized, then everything else compounds and can build very, very quickly. And so I think we're just kind of moving away from traditional thoughts in marketing, especially for smaller businesses, when it's just content creation and advertising, which are two of our pillars here. But a lot of what people forget is the branding and SEO aspect, which helps the other two pillars uh, be a lot more effective.
SEO, branding, advertising, and content creation, what it's all about.
Yeah. So everything in our business, these are in a specific order for a reason. Everything in our business revolves around brand authority. So the SEO aspect is what you're doing, you've been coming up. Can people even search you? Okay, they can search you, but is your name out there? Is there is there anything that does your brand mean anything? So now we're into branding. Okay, once your name's out there, people start to recognize you. Let's get your name out there even further with ad dollars and start doing some advertising, drawing people, getting people to recognize your brand even more. Once they search you through AI or Google, your stuff's coming up. And then as that starts to happen, let's give them something a little more. Content creation, putting, educational content out on social media, more information about you and your brand out there. So we have them in a particular order for a particular reason, because this is the order that we believe helps businesses scale sustainably and quickly.
On identity and integration, Mr. Michael, how do you navigate the decision of how much of your parenting identity to weave into your professional brand? Where is the line between being relatable and oversharing?
Um, yeah, that's another really good question. I don't think I've ever hit that line of oversharing. I think if you look me up, like, you'll know I have a family. Um, I don't. It's not the first thing that I talk about on every meeting. But if people ask, it's definitely something that I talk about. I think I like keeping things a little bit separate as much as possible, but at the end of the day, like, you can see a wedding ring on my finger, so I'm married, and you can probably assume if I'm married that there's a chance that I could have kids. And so it's not something that I'm just constantly, like, first thing I bring up in a conversation, but it's definitely not something that I shy away from sharing about either.
One profound goal is to model entrepreneurship for your children. What is it? International ways to involve them at appropriate ages so that they see the work not as an absence, but as a creative, valuable part of a family life.
Yeah, I allow my oldest. Sometimes he comes down and colors or hangs out in my office while I'm working. Sometimes they're around when I'm on calls or in meetings with people, depending on what's going on. Sometimes they've even met some of my clients. Um, but the biggest thing is, I want them to see that hard work and accountability does lead to something good. And when they see kind of like what they have now and in the future what they'll have in the future, that they'll kind of look back and see that hard work and respect and good reputation has provided a lot of that for them. And ideally they will see the work ethic involved in what they have, so that they know it doesn't just grow on a tree, and it doesn't just come out of thin air, that there's something else behind it.
And Mr. Michael, how does the reality of parenting, the noise, the interruption, and genuine emotion inform a more authentic and compelling content strategy than perfectly polished one?
What was that last sentence? I missed that part.
Polished, the polished
Po-
one.
the part right before that, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Could
So,
you could you re-
yeah, yes,
no,
yeah.
could you
So
repeat
how
that?
does yes, how does the reality of parenting, the noise and interruption and genuine emotions inform more authentic and compelling content strategy?
Oh,
The
okay.
perfectly polished one in your business.
Yeah, well, if you listen to a lot of my content, you'll actually hear my kids in it. Um, I work in the basement and they play right above me. So you will actually hear, kind of them running around. Every once in a while, you'll get a piece of content where I'm trying to teach teach people about, some SEO, or some rule or law or whatever, and you'll just hear like one of them scream in the background. So
Hmm.
I depending on what it is, I'll try to cut that stuff out, or I'll retake it. But for the most part, it's just kind of a fact of the business, and it's fact of life is, I have kids, and not ashamed to have kids, especially when those sounds show up in my content. I think, and my wife and I talk about this all the time. Some societies, especially like in America, is very not kid friendly, and people are always a little embarrassed when their kid is screaming and or crying or something. And then the fact of the matter is that that's just what kids do. And
Yes.
as long as you don't like, there's a line between like a kid being a kid and a kid being like a brat and misbehaving. And
Yeah.
as long as you're on the other side of that line, like, it shouldn't be anything that you're embarrassed about. And, you know, like I said, sometimes it shows up in my content. You'll hear it on some of my videos, and that's just the life I live.
Yes. Be proud of it. Okay. And sign of authentic. Authentic indeed. What was the most difficult lesson you learned about merging business ambition with the parental presence, and how did it change your approach?
Um, I think I'm still learning the lesson, to be honest. I haven't quite figured out the time aspect between both. Um, I know when things are really, really busy and I have to keep my head down and work, um, the people who lose out on that is my family. And so I'm in a weird stage of my business where that's just the way it is right now, and still trying to figure out ways to figure that out. But I think at the end of the day, it's being able to, like we talked in the beginning, just being able to separate the two. When I'm not at my computer, when I'm not working and I'm with my family, I need to be fully with my family. And that's one thing that I've noticed, and I guess this is part of the lesson, is when I unplug for the day, if I go and hang out with my family, my kids are excited to see me. So if I'm on my phone answering emails or messages or still working in some capacity, that's something that they notice, and I can see it in their behavior as well. And so, and there's a complete difference than when I enter that realm and I'm completely unplugged and my focus is completely on them. It's just everybody's much happier, everybody's more well behaved, and we're all just having a good time.
Mr. Michael, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, I'm a book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 second season, I'm a food 101 in sixth season, now this December. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101, review music 101, fourth season. Science 101, Sex 101, second season, and my baby podcast, Law 101, Mental Health 101, and Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Michael, for a parent feeling overwhelmed and trapped between diapers and deliverables, what is one simple, immediate action they can make tomorrow to start building a business that works for their real life?
Yeah, I think the first action that people can take when trying to balance the two is, as much as you can, take some time to focus on one or the other. If you sometimes in the balance you are stressed and focused on both, and if everything is a priority, nothing's a priority. So when you're working, work, and when you're with your family, be with your family. And that is one of the ways that has completely changed my ability to be productive. um, if you're constantly stressed about what your kids are doing, or whether you spent not enough time with them today, then it's going to affect your productivity in your business, and your business equals money. And if you don't do things in your business, you lose clients, you lose money. And if you're worried about clients and money, that affects your relationship with your family. So when you're working, work, and when you're with your family, be with your family.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Michael. And can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you want to promote on Abstract Essay?
Yeah, go ahead and view my website. It's madmanmarketing.io. You can find me on YouTube at Michael Anthony DiMaria, on Instagram at Michael is not available. And then if you go to my website, you can get a free revenue leak strategy report. So anybody who is a business owner, um, reach out. We give out free strategies to people. No call needed. It's not a sales pitch. It's just something that we're doing to get our name out there a little more. So happy to make one for anyone who's interested.
Yes, people will support Mr. Michael DiMaria because if you support him for sure, more and more empowering business like this to come. So, Mr. Michael, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Monica people, see you soon.